Before we begin, let the room around you become a little softer. Let your shoulders fall, and let your breathing settle into its own quiet rhythm. Maybe there is a fan somewhere nearby, or a distant engine outside the window, or the faint movement of the building around you as the night slowly gathers. For a moment, do not try to block these sounds out. Just notice them. The little hums, the small shifts, the faraway traces of other lives continuing beyond the edge of your room. Most of the time, we do not really listen to them. They simply rest around us, unnoticed, like air. Now imagine that they begin to fade. The fan disappears first, then the traffic, then the small creak in the wall, the breath of wind at the window, the faint sound of your own movement against the sheets. Somewhere outside, a bird opens its beak, but nothing comes out. The world is still there. The sky is still above the houses. The trees still stand. The ocean still touches the shore. People still wake, walk, turn, reach, and look around, but nothing makes a sound. At first, it may seem peaceful. Many of us spend our lives looking for quiet. We want quiet mornings, quiet thoughts, quiet rooms, quiet places far away from engines, phones, crowds, and machinery. But complete silence is not the same as peace. Peaceful quiet still belongs to a living world. It still has edges. Somewhere, water moves, a floorboard answers a footstep, a bird calls from the dark, a voice returns from another room. Complete silence would be different. It would not simply remove noise. It would remove reply. And slowly, we would begin to understand how much of Earth reaches us through sound. Not only music, speech, birdsong, thunder, rain, and waves, but warning, distance, memory, contact, and the quiet evidence that life is still moving around us. So tonight, we are going to enter an impossible thought experiment. What happens when the Earth goes completely silent? And more quietly, beneath that question, there is another one. What would disappear besides sound? Imagine waking before dawn. The room is gray and still. The window is only a pale shape in the wall. The furniture has not moved. The blanket is warm around you. And for a moment, nothing seems wrong. Then you notice it. There is no sound. Not the ordinary quiet of early morning, when the world is simply waiting to begin. This is deeper than that. It is not hush, not calm, not the soft pause before the day returns. It is a kind of silence without texture, without distance, without the small living edges that usually surround you. Usually, even a quiet room answers in tiny ways. A refrigerator hums somewhere beyond the kitchen. Air moves through a vent. A pipe settles in the wall. Fabric whispers when you shift beneath it. Now the room receives your movement, but gives nothing in return. You sit up. The mattress does not creak. Your feet touch the floor, but there is no soft contact between skin and wood. You open the door, and the hinge makes no sound. The hallway waits in front of you, unchanged and strangely unreachable, for a few seconds. It might feel like relief. No alarms, no engines, no voices, no machines waking in the distance. The usual pressure of modern sound has vanished, and the morning seems clean, almost weightless. But then the relief begins to feel too wide, because sound is not only what disturbs us, it is also what tells us that the world is present. It lets us know that the house is awake, that air is moving, that someone is nearby, that something has changed before we turn our head to see it. A cup placed on a table, a door opening downstairs, rain touching a roof, a car passing before it appears at the corner. These ordinary sounds make space feel inhabited. Without them, a hallway becomes longer, a kitchen becomes unused. Even if everything remains in place, a street outside the window may still have trees, walls, bicycles, and parked cars. But if none of them makes a sound, the scene begins to feel less like a place and more like a photograph. You go to the window. The neighborhood is there. Roofs hold the first pale light. Trees stand quietly along the road. A curtain moves in another house, though no fabric sound follows it. Somewhere, someone may be stepping into the day, but the world gives no trace of them. Then you realize what is missing most. There are no birds. This absence is small, but it reaches deeply. Birdsong often enters the morning before thought does. It tells us, without asking for attention, that night is ending and that other lives have begun again. Without it, dawn feels incomplete. The sun can rise, but the morning does not fully arrive. This is the first strange truth of a silent earth. Silence does not merely remove the sounds we notice. It removes the sounds that help us trust the world without thinking about it. We hear what we cannot yet see. A child waking in another room, a bicycle coming from behind, a storm moving beyond the hill, a branch cracking under weight, a dog barking at something hidden. Sound lets the unseen world approach us. It bends around corners. It travels through walls. It reaches from darkness before light can help. It allows distance to speak. Without it, events still happen, but they no longer announce themselves. A train could pass through a sleeping town without a tremor of metal or air. A wave could fall on the shore without a roar. Rain could cover a city and never touch the ear. A door could open behind you, and the room would keep its secret. Even space itself would feel changed. A cathedral, a bedroom, a tunnel, and an open field do not only look different, they sound different. They answer differently. They carry echoes, muffle footsteps, stretch voices, or let them disappear into open air. In a silent world, those acoustic shapes would be gone. The eye would still see height, width, color, shadow, and distance. But the ear would no longer help the body feel where it was. The world would keep its surfaces while losing one of its depths. This is why the first silent morning would not remain peaceful. It would begin as rest, then become uncertainty, and finally, standing at the window, watching a soundless dawn open over a soundless earth, you might feel the question rise for the first time. If the world no longer answers, how do we know it is still alive? When the outside world becomes silent, we might imagine the mind becoming silent too. But quiet does not always empty us. Sometimes, it turns us inward. There are rooms built to absorb sound so completely that they seem to remove the room from itself. In anechoic chambers, walls, floor, and ceiling are designed to swallow reflections. A footstep does not return. A voice does not bloom outward and come back softened by space. The room gives no echo. For the body, this can feel deeply unnatural. In ordinary life, echoes are not dramatic. We rarely think about them, but they help us understand where we are. They tell us whether a room is narrow or wide, hard or soft, open or enclosed. When those reflections disappear, the world no longer outlines itself around us. And then the body begins to come forward. Breath seems closer. A swallow may feel louder. The pulse may seem strangely present. Some people in extreme quiet become aware of ringing, tones, or phantom sounds, not because the silence is broken from outside, but because the listening mind is still active. The ear waits. The brain searches. This is one of the quiet reversals in our story. We think silence means nothing is there. But when the world stops speaking, we may hear ourselves more intensely. A heartbeat, a breath, a faint pressure inside the ear, the small effort of being alive. Complete silence would not only change the world around us, it would change the balance between outer life and inner life. Usually, we are held between both. The world gives us sound, and the body answers with attention. Voices, weather, footsteps, birds, engines, and rooms all help keep the self open toward what is outside. But when the outside gives nothing, awareness has fewer places to go. It folds back. This is why chosen quiet feels different from total silence. Chosen quiet still belongs to a world that can return. A late bedroom may be quiet, but outside it, the city still breathes. A library may be hushed, but pages turn. Chairs shift. Footsteps pass in the hall. A forest path may be still, but somewhere, a bird calls and wind touches the leaves. Chosen quiet is a pause inside life, but a silent earth would not feel like a pause. It would feel like a new condition. The absence would not be waiting to end. It would simply be everywhere. Under that condition, even memory would begin to feel different. So much of memory is carried by sound. A parent's voice at the edge of sleep. A song from a car window in summer. Rain on the roof of an old house. A kitchen full of dishes and low conversation. The sea heard before it is seen. A photograph can return an image, but a sound can return a whole atmosphere. One laugh can bring back a room. One melody can reopen a year. One familiar footstep can belong to a person so completely that we know who is coming before the door opens. If Earth went silent, memory would not vanish, but the future would stop entering memory in one of its most intimate forms. There would be no new voices to carry tenderness or anger. No new songs attached to ordinary days. No new rain sound folded into a place we might one day miss. And then there is speech. Human beings could still communicate without sound. We would write, gesture, touch, draw, signal with light, and find other ways to cross the distance between minds. We are inventive creatures, especially in loss. But the voice carries more than words. It carries hesitation, age, warmth, fatigue, humor, fear, courage. It carries what a face may hide and what a sentence alone cannot hold. The same words can comfort or wound depending on how they are spoken. In a silent earth, faces would remain, hands would remain, written language would remain, but no one could call your name from another room. By now, the silence has moved from the room to the body, from the body to memory, and from memory to human connection. It is no longer only an absence outside us. It has become something that changes the way consciousness meets the world. But human silence is only the first layer. Beyond the window, beyond the house, beyond the city, there are places where sound is not mainly memory, comfort, or language. It is how life finds other life. And before sunrise, in a forest not yet touched by full light. That hidden world is already beginning to call. Before dawn. A forest may look still. The trunks stand in shadow. Leaves hold the last darkness of the night. Mist lies low along the ground. To the eye, very little may seem to happen, but the ear knows differently. Somewhere in the gray air, a bird gives the first call. Then another answers from farther away. Then another. Soon the branches begin to fill with voices. Not all at once. Not chaotically, but in layers. As if the forest is slowly remembering itself. To us, the dawn chorus may sound beautiful. To the forest, it is also work. It is territory, contact, invitation, warning, and the announcement that a small body has survived the night and still occupies its place in the trees. A bird can be hidden and still present through song. A clearing can seem empty and still be crossed by signals. Now, imagine that same forest on the morning the earth has gone silent. The trees remain. Ferns hold beads of moisture. Light slowly gathers at the tips of leaves. The path is still there, winding between roots and stones. But no song rises. No insect hums in the grass. No frog calls from the wet places. No wingbeat moves through the air. No wind touches the canopy. No rain ticks from one leaf to another. No small animal breaks a twig beneath the brush. The forest has not disappeared, but one of its living layers has been removed. A forest is never only a set of things. It is a field of relationships. Some are visible: root, trunk, leaf, flower, shade. Others are chemical, seasonal, microscopic, hidden underground, and many are acoustic. Calls cross through branches. Alarm signals move faster than sight. Mates search for one another through sound. Parents and young remain connected when leaves hide them. Insects send their small pulses into warm air. Frogs turn ponds into night choirs. The soundscape of a place is not just decoration. It is part of how the place functions. Scientists sometimes speak of different layers of environmental sound. There are the sounds of living creatures, such as birds, insects, frogs, and mammals. There are the sounds of the physical earth, such as wind, water, rain, thunder, and moving ice. And there are the sounds made by human life, such as roads, aircraft, machines, and distant cities. Most of the time, these layers blend together. We call it background noise. But for the creatures living inside it, the background is full of meaning. A sudden quiet can matter. It can mean the season has shifted. Rain is near. A predator is passing through. Or animals have stopped calling because something in the habitat has changed. Silence in nature is not always simple, and that carefulness matters. A quiet forest does not always mean loss. Sometimes it means timing. Sometimes it means weather. Sometimes it means the listener has arrived at the wrong hour. But the possibility that a place can be read by sound has changed the way researchers study living systems. Recording devices can be left in forests, wetlands, fields, and reefs, listening for days, months, or longer. They gather what no single person could hear by standing there for an afternoon. A microphone becomes a patient witness. It can reveal when frogs return after rain, when birds begin before sunrise, when insects rise in heat, when human noise covers the thinner voices of a place, and when a landscape has grown strangely spare. Listening becomes a way of seeing what the eye might miss. That is why a completely silent forest would be so unsettling. It would not only lack beauty, it would lack evidence of connection. Life might still be present for a while, but it would no longer reach outward in one of its oldest ways. A bird could no longer declare its place from a hidden branch. A frog could no longer turn darkness into a call. An insect could no longer make the summer air feel inhabited. The visible forest would remain, but the listening mind would sense absence. The place would still have shape, but less presence. Sound gives life a radius. It lets one living thing touch another before touch is possible. And once we understand this, the silent earth grows larger. It is not only the silent bedroom, or the silent city street, or the silent forest before dawn. It is every place where living beings depend on sound to cross distance. In a forest, light eventually comes. The branches brighten. Movement appears. A bird may be seen if it cannot be heard. The eye can still help. But there is one vast part of Earth where the eye is often weak, where light fails quickly, and where distance belongs more deeply to sound. To understand the full meaning of silence, we have to go beneath the surface. From the shore, the ocean can seem almost simple, a surface of blue, gray, or silver, waves folding onto sand, a horizon line where water and sky meet. To human eyes, the sea often hides more than it reveals. Below the surface, light fades, colors drain away, forms appear and vanish, distance becomes uncertain. A body may be near and still unseen. A whole world may move beneath you without ever breaking the surface. In that world, sound matters profoundly. Water carries vibration through darkness. It allows signals to travel where sight cannot. For many marine animals, sound is not an ornament added to life. It is one of the main ways life remains connected. Whales call through deep water. Dolphins click and listen. Fish, seals, crustaceans, reefs, ice, storms, and currents all contribute to the underwater soundscape. Some sounds help animals find food. Some help them navigate. Some hold social groups together. Some may announce identity, location, readiness, alarm, or contact. We should be humble here. Humans can record ocean sounds. We can classify them, track them, compare them, and sometimes connect them to behavior. But the full meaning of many marine signals remains beyond us. The ocean speaks in patterns we are still learning to hear. Imagine a whale moving through dark water. There may be no landscape in the human sense, no road, no tree line, no visible horizon. Yet a call can move outward through the sea as pressure, as vibration, as a physical event expanding into distance. Somewhere far away, another body may receive it. This is not just sound. It is a bridge. Now imagine the last call moving through the ocean. It travels for a while, fading through water. It reaches whatever can still receive it. Then, after it passes, nothing follows. No answer. No clicks in the dark. No songs crossing distance. No reef crackle. No shifting ice. No low movement of weather carried below the surface. No hidden animal presence made knowable by vibration. The ocean would still be vast, but it would become vast in a lonelier way. This is what makes ocean silence different from ordinary quiet. In the sea, silence is not only the loss of atmosphere, it is the failure of distance to carry presence. It is one body no longer able to reach another through water. A whale could still exist, but its call would not travel. A group could still be somewhere in the dark, but the dark would no longer carry them toward one another. the sea would become harder to cross without moving through it physically, body by body, mile by mile. This is why humans listen to the ocean with instruments. Hydrophones allow us to hear where we cannot see. They can record animals passing through regions of water where no human observer is present. They can reveal migrations, feeding areas, patterns of movement, and sometimes the presence of species that would otherwise remain hidden. Listening gives us a second kind of vision. It lets the dark become less empty. And yet the ocean teaches us another complication. Sometimes the danger is not silence. Sometimes it is the wrong sound. Ships, sonar, drilling, construction, and other human activities can fill underwater environments with noise. This does not make the ocean quiet. It may make it louder, but loudness can still create isolation if it covers the signals animals need. A call may be made, but not heard clearly. A signal may travel, but not far enough. A living soundscape may remain full of vibration, yet become harder to read. The ocean can be noisy and lonely at the same time. This is a quieter, more troubling idea than total silence. It brings the thought experiment closer to the real world. The loss of sound is not always the same as emptiness. Sometimes meaning disappears beneath interference. Sometimes the right voice is still there, but covered by the wrong one. A similar thing can happen in cities and fields. A bird may sing near a road, but traffic can mask part of its song. A frog may call beside human noise, and fewer listeners may hear it. An animal may depend on a signal that once traveled easily through a landscape, only to find that the landscape has changed acoustically. The silent earth, then, is not only a fantasy of all sound ending, it is also a way to notice how fragile listening can be. In recent years, scientists have built more patient ways of listening. Devices can remain underwater, moving or fixed, gathering sounds from animals that may never appear before human eyes. Computers can help sort patterns. Researchers can follow calls through time and space. But this is not a simple story of decoding a secret language. It is the slower work of admitting that another world is speaking, even when we do not yet understand it fully. The ocean after the last call would remove even that possibility. There would be no hidden pattern waiting in the dark, no distant voice crossing water, no mystery arriving through a hydrophone, only movement, only water, only the immense visible fact of the sea, stripped of one of its deepest ways of connecting life across distance. By now, the meaning of silence has changed again. It began as a quiet room. Then it became a mind listening inward. Then a forest without its morning web of voices. Now it has become the loneliness of dark water without calls moving through it. But sound does not belong only to air and water. Some messages travel lower. Some pass through surfaces, stems, soil, and ground. And if we listen carefully, the final layer of this silent earth begins beneath our feet. Stand on open ground, not beside a highway, not inside a city, but somewhere wide and quiet enough for the horizon to feel slow. The soil is beneath your feet. The air is still. Far away, something large moves across the land. You may not hear it, but another body might feel it. Elephants are often known for their size, memory, family bonds, and long migrations. They are also known for deep calls, some low enough to fall partly beyond ordinary human hearing. These rumbles can move through the air, but they may also send vibrations into the ground. To an elephant, the earth beneath the feet may not be silent ground. It may be a surface of information, a distant movement, a low rumble, a signal shaped by terrain, a message not quite heard in the human way, but sensed through the body. This widens the story one last time. Sound is not only what the human ear notices. At its root, sound is vibration moving through matter. Air can carry it. Water can carry it. Soil, wood, stone, skin, leaves, and stems can carry vibrations too. Many small creatures live in worlds of trembling surfaces. Some insects communicate through the stems of plants. Tiny signals pass through leaves and stalks. To us, the plant may seem still. To them, it may be a pathway, a meeting place, a living instrument. A spider reads motion in a web. A frog sends a call across water. A whale sends pressure through the sea. A bird fills the dawn from a branch. A human voice crosses a room and changes the expression on someone's face. These lives are different in scale, body, and world. But again and again, the same principle returns. Life reaches through matter. That is why complete silence, if it meant the end of meaningful vibration, would be more than quiet. It would be a breaking of contact. Air would stop carrying voices. Water would stop carrying calls. Soil would stop carrying tremors. Surfaces would stop carrying tiny signals between small lives hidden from our eyes. The planet would remain visible, but much of its distant touch would be gone. This may be the deepest realization inside the thought experiment. We do not live on Earth only as observers. We live as listeners, feelers, senders, receivers. Every day, without noticing, we move through a field of vibrations. Some are beautiful. Some are irritating. Some are useful. Some are dangerous. Some are so ordinary that we ignore them completely until they disappear. The hum of a house at night. The murmur of a city beyond a window. The sound of someone entering a room before we see them. Wind moving ahead of rain. Thunder rolling beyond the hills. An animal breathing in sleep nearby. Even the quiet we love depends on this larger world of sound. A peaceful evening is not absolutely silent. It contains small traces of life at its edges. A distant insect, a soft footstep, a page turning, a house settling, someone breathing. That kind of quiet feels warm because it is held inside presence. Total silence would not be warm. It would have no edges. It would not be the quiet of rest, but the quiet of disconnection. This does not mean sound is the only way to know the world. Light gives form. Touch gives nearness. Smell carries memory. Taste gives intimacy. The body has many doors through which reality enters. But sound has a particular gift. It reaches from beyond the visible. It comes through walls, darkness, water, distance, forest, and night. It makes hidden life present before the eye can confirm it. It lets one being touch another without physical contact. That is why a voice can comfort before a hand reaches the shoulder. That is why waves can call us toward the shore before we see the water. That is why a forest can feel alive before a single animal appears. Now, if we return to the silent morning where this journey began, the room feels different. The window is still pale. The floor is still beneath your feet. The outside world still has its familiar shapes. But now you know more clearly what has vanished. Not just birdsong, not just rain, traffic, footsteps, engines, wind, or voice. What has vanished is the answering structure of the planet. The forest can no longer call across leaves. The ocean can no longer send voices through darkness. The ground can no longer carry hidden tremors. A person can no longer call your name with tenderness, urgency, laughter, or fear. The earth would still exist, but it would feel less reachable. And perhaps this is why the silence we truly need is not the silence of a dead world. It is not the end of sound, not the ending of the voices and tremors that connect living things. It is the recovery of listening. To listen is to remember that the world is not mute. It is layered, delicate, and alive with signals. Some are meant for us. Many are not. Some we understand. Many we only receive with humility. The earth has never been completely quiet. It has been whispering, calling, trembling, pulsing, and answering for as long as there have been bodies to move through air, water, soil, and one another. And if we become still enough, not perfectly silent, only gently attentive, we may begin to hear how much of the living world has been speaking all along. So when we imagine the earth going completely silent, we are not only imagining the loss of sound, we are imagining the loss of reply. The room no longer answers our movement. The body grows louder in the absence of the world. The forest loses its dawn chorus. The ocean loses its calls moving through darkness. The ground loses its hidden tremors beneath living feet. At first, silence may seem like peace, and sometimes, in the right measure, it is. Quiet can heal attention. It can soften the mind. It can give us a place to rest after too much noise. But complete silence would be something else. It would not be rest. It would be separation. Because Earth is not only a planet we look at, it is a planet we hear, feel, and answer. Its life reaches across distance through vibration, from the smallest insect trembling on a stem to the great calls of whales beneath the sea. And somewhere between those scales, we live too, speaking, listening, remembering, and being comforted by sounds we often forget to notice. Tonight, wherever you are, there may be a small sound near you. A fan, a car far away, rain, insects, the soft shift of a room, your own breathing. Not every sound is beautiful. Not every sound is welcome. But somewhere inside the ordinary noise of life is a reminder that the world is still moving, still carrying messages, still returning to us in waves. And as you rest, you are not outside that world. You are listening from within it.